1. I have found no word for the effect of the light on the water other than mare ballerina, the one Gino Severini invented. Nothing makes sense until it makes sense in the body, till the body is present at the making sense. There's a set of people selling small things on the Piazza San Marco. What should we call these small things, since what they actually are doesn't matter? They throw these things in the air. I approach one, asking what they are. Lanza, he says, a toy for kids. For demonstration, he throws one, catching it back. €8, he says. There's this set of people. I've seen them seeing with their feet, their backs, their entire bodies. I've seen them knowing when to run from the police before the police are in sight. Have you seen them too? 8 years I've been trying to name this recognition expressed in my flesh. Mare ballerina is supposedly about a dancer, one who, in her movements, evokes the crashing of the waves on the seashore. For me, it evoked the light over the canal and its houses. The Venice I saw, wondering what the Moor saw, that Moor who arrived here at such a point in the 16th century that he could have been at home in Carpaccio's miracle of the relic of the cross at the Rialto Bridge, that he could have been that gondolier, the sharp-looking dude, that Venice, that canal, that light seen from the oriental windows. The Venice expressed in my flesh, as if the spirit of the sea of back home was also here. Where are you from? The people selling the small things greet me like this when my eyes meet theirs. It's the only way to greet, as if to say, why, who, you, here, you who see me. Ali, 21, from Senegal, guesses at where I'm from in Africa. He sells bracelets. Buy a bracelet to support me, pour me soutenir. We bond through the French language. We move around in the wide world, forced into fluidity. It's not my style, but, of course, he gives me an additional one for free. Porte-bonheur, pour les enfants. 2. In Veronese's Feast at the Home of Levi, conceived in fact as a depiction of the Last Supper before the artist's brush with the Inquisition, a young, dark-skinned man dressed in red tunic and turban shares the frame with Jesus and the apostles. All of a sudden, with Veronese's hedonistic canvas, one enters a time without really entering it. The painting becomes a joke on the viewer. A door to a chamber is shown without any key whatsoever to access it. One's only consolation is to say, I have seen that we were here, so normally here, in another time. Without any witness, writing, inscriptions, books, legends, tying that time to the present, all the stories have to be invented, reinvented. In the window of Nardi, the jewelers, there are blackamoor brooches. There are rings made of diamonds and rubies with miniature heads of turbaned Moors in sculpted ebony. The intervening history of the representation of my body in text. For Veronese, this painting was all about invention, and for it he took huge license with theological doctrine. There are more heads everywhere. We're not talking about this. One wonders what kind of a character he is, this red-turbaned African man present at the banquet of a Renaissance prince. He's talking to a fat white man dressed in fancier robes. The fat dude looks into the distance distractedly. One can't help but notice the wily look on African dude's face. But only after a while do you notice his hand reaching into the other man's bag. Disappointing, to say the least. The other African figures in the canvas occupy subservient roles like pages, but they're also comfortably there. They're looking people in the eye, even having conversation. Ambiguous. But with ambiguity, I find myself stepping into a different history of representation. Ambiguity was a fucking revolution. It was almost overwhelming. All I have is invention. All I could ever do is invent. I was tired of invention. There's all the stuff that the European viewer can't see. All the stuff they haven't allowed themselves to see. The more remains invisible despite the obsession with his body.